Technically, I'm a come here. Was a property owner 20 years ago down in Dorchester County in Wolford. At the time, my former wife and I were living in Baltimore City, believe it or not, and we were looking for a place to escape. We came down to the Eastern Shore, and back in the days when you used to have the ADC maps, and we would get those maps out and go down this road and that road, and we just found this lovely spot on the Little Choptank River in Wolford and purchased that. In 2010, we made a decision to come down full time. I was able to work remote, although I still had to go to BWI quite a bit. At the time, Lynn wasn't working, and we had a daughter in second grade. So it was time to get out of the city and come down here. And we also realized that our friendships that we had down here, our connections down here were so much greater than they were on the Western Shore. So it just fit naturally. And so I grew up in a beach town called Stone Harbor, New Jersey. It's in Cape May County. So for me to get home, it's just a ferry ride across the Delaware Bay. But Cape May, very similar to Dorchester, the water environment, some tourism, farmers, and it was a great place to be, and that's why I really ended up wanting to be on the Eastern Shore and on the water. For 30 years, I was a sales executive, primarily in the healthcare analytics business, and that put me on airplanes throughout the country into just about every hospital in the country at one point or the other. But that wore on me, and I wanted to be more a part of the fabric of the community here. And when you're always going to BWI, you can't do that because you're not home every night. So believe it or not, at the start of the pandemic, I transitioned from a white-collar career to a blue-collar career, and it's the best thing I've ever did in my life. I do have some craftsmanship skills in these hands, and something I always wanted to do, and I started Hutchinson Home Services. It has been nonstop, crazy busy. Obviously, the pandemic has added to that, but all through referral, I thought I'd have to cast my net wide. I haven't. It's been a great experience, and because of that, I can actually run for House of Delegates because I now own my business, I own my schedule, and quite frankly, I mean, I'm taking a risk with my business, but it's in my heart to want to run for House of Delegates, and I think it's worth that risk. I am not a politician. This would be technically my first elected position that I would be going for. I guess I've always been in my interest, but when the opportunity came up to run for state delegate, and after numerous conversations, I found this might be the right fit, and particularly with the discussions I've had with our current legislators in 37B. But I can tell you, God gave me three great things that I think is going to make me a great delegate. And, the first, He gave me a mind. He gave me a brain to use that brain to debate, compromise, collaborate, make decisions, and then if necessary, new facts come up to make a different decision and change my mind. The second are these hands, and that is I've been the type of person that likes to roll up his sleeves and get things done. And I do that either in a physical way or just a guy that's going to sit down and figure out the best way to approach a problem. And the third is that He gave me a heart. And that's, I'm the type of person that does want to give back. I certainly care about the community. I care about my constituents. And that's a real drive to me. It's actually a drive in my business, why I love doing what I do, because there are people who need help, and I enjoy going out and helping them. And particularly the last, the 90 days of the general session, to hear the commentary of what's being done in Annapolis, and the fact that they can't even vote on a crime bill, yet they can vote on a police accountability bill, or to see the effects that the Climate Act may have on businesses here on the Eastern Shore, then to hear about the Family Medical Leave Act and the burden that will place on small businesses. And I think more alarming is that it's being run through the same organization that's running our unemployment insurance, which has been a fiasco as well. So that in itself makes the blood boil a little bit. And so when the opportunity came up, and I spent time talking to Johnny Mounts about the position and understanding it. I can tell you this much: I don't see it as that part-time job that people say that it is, because I've seen him, I've seen Addie, I've seen Chris Adams all around 12 months of the year and doing that. But I realize that's what it will take to do this job effectively in a district that is quite large. I think I have that ability to gather facts, compromise, collaborate, and it's not one straight path to get to what you want in the end. I've been very impressed, but particularly as I've talked to Johnny and Addie recently about some of the bills that have gone through in this last session, to see where it started from to where it is. So it's interesting that we're alarmed about where it is, but I can't even imagine what it must have been like when they started. And that's a lot through the delegation and fighting for and making it understandable. And truthfully, you're going to have to create friends throughout Annapolis to be able to effectively compromise. Though in this role, I see another aspect of being an effective delegate. One is, I think, in the legislative side and being in Annapolis and helping write laws. But the other is giving constituency services. There are people out there that have a need for help at the state level, and they need the right person to reach out to. And personally, in a lot of the things I've been involved in Dorchester County, Johnny, Addie, Chris have been very effective, whether it's been in grants, whether it's been working with DHCD, Department of Planning, Economic Development, and being able to navigate Annapolis. So they've been good advocates for that. But I think that's a big part of it, is providing the services to the constituents. As I look at my card, there's the issues that you want, but my number one on there is really economic development and job creation. So I got involved with the Cambridge Main Street program as a volunteer, a board member, and then eventually the president of the board for a 3-year period. And not that we solely did the revitalization, but we were a catalyst of it. And we were the people that were meeting new business owners that wanted to come down, and meeting with even businesses that wanted to come down to see how vibrant our downtown is. And we're not done yet, but you look at downtown Cambridge, and there are now, I think, 18 wonderful restaurants down there. There's plenty of shops, and I'm very proud of that when we work through that. And it was a great team effort by so many people. Another thing I love being involved in is Ironman. Yeah. I remember getting the phone call from our director of tourism at the time, and she's saying, but we have to raise a significant amount of money to be able to bring them as a sponsorship fee. And at first I thought, there's no way we're going to be able to do in that time frame. But we formed Iron Club, officially called the Ironman Booster for Iron Club. And we go out and we raise the funds to do that. Well, the return on that investment is fabulous, not only for Dorchester County, it's for the entire district, from Salisbury really all the way up to Kent Island, with hotels, restaurants, Airbnbs, the works. And I'm also pretty proud because I'm the type of guy that leads by example. And so after a couple of years of volunteering, I decided to become an Ironman in 2017. So I was one of those crazy guys that went out and did it for a day, and it was truly probably one of the best days of my life. Well, I think Maryland did thrive under a Republican leadership. I've not had that position. I haven't even been in Annapolis yet, so I can't even imagine what it must be like to work in a Democratic-controlled General Assembly and you're the governor. I admire his patience. I admire his fortitude, that he sort of stays on task and fights for what he believes is right. And unfortunately, he doesn't always get everything that he wants, but he handles it with stride, and as a leader, it's respectable. As I've gotten into the campaign and been out talking to others closer to the public education system. I'm a little bit surprised at some of the things that are being taught in the public schools, different ideologies, and I think that needs to be addressed as well, so that the parents have the voice in the school, not just the school board. And I also would like to see it that our local school boards have the ability to make local decisions and not everything having to come out of Annapolis. Because even within the pandemic, I think things were much different here than they were over, say, Montgomery County. And I think it could be handled a little bit differently than a one fell sweep of regulations. I have had discussions with other members of some of the Board of Educations throughout the district who say, while it may not be spelled out directly that CRT is being taught, there's evidence that it is within the curriculum of, and also just how it is being, certain subjects are being taught. I went to a forum actually earlier this week here in the Easton Firehouse with the Family Advocacy Alliance, and the moderator really opened it up with a document and sharing the type of curriculum, particularly around sex education, that's being taught at a very young age. And I think that's entirely inappropriate. And again, I'm a guy that's going to make sure I know the facts, find the facts, and figure that out. But I feel very strongly that that does not belong in early education. I think something's important to note, and there's other challengers that I'm up against. Two of them really are against live in Wacomico County. Chris Adams being one. Chris is the incumbent, and I think Chris has done a fine job as one of our delegates. And then there's another challenger who is on the Wacomico County Council. The thing that sort of alarms me is if I wasn't elected, and the two from Wacomico were, we would have no representation in the House of Delegates within the Mid-Shore area. And then depending upon the outcome of the Senate race, there's a potential that Dorchester County doesn't even have any representation in the General Assembly, and I believe that would be the first time ever that didn't occur. Now, that's not the only reason why I think people need to vote for me. I think I have the right skills and the right person to be in the House of Delegates for District 37B, but I think that's important to note that there's a lot at stake here in this election.